I stared at the text glowing on my phone, a smirk tugging at my lips despite the storm brewing inside me. Off to Paris with my new flame. Enjoy scraping by, Lauren, the message taunted. My husband Eric's final jab flashing in cruel neon. Oh, if he only knew. I'm Lauren, 29. And never in a million years did I imagine I'd be tailing my husband through JFK, orchestrating his downfall with a global task force. Yet here I was, parked outside the terminal, eyes glued to my laptop as the trap tightened around him. The irony was delicious. Eric thought he'd outsmarted me, siphoning what he assumed were our joint accounts. He had no clue they were decoys, bait we'd planted weeks ago when I first sniffed out his shady dealings. As CFO of Carver & Stone Investments, Eric had been quietly bleeding millions from client funds for months, convinced he was a genius, untouchable. That cockiness was about to bury him. I'd sensed something was off for a while: the late nights, the hushed calls, his sudden obsession with our finances. When I spotted the first sketchy transfers, I didn't storm into his office screaming. No, I went straight to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. That's when Agent Sarah Mitchell stormed into our lives, though Eric knew her only as Jessica, the flirty new client who couldn't get enough of his charm or his portfolio. Targets nearing the checkpoint, Sarah's voice buzzed through my earpiece. He's with the female operative. On my screen, Eric swaggered through the terminal, arms slung around the woman he thought was his ticket to freedom. He had no idea she was our ace undercover agent, or that every move he made was tracked by a small army of cops. He's likely got the backup drive with the records. I murmured into my mic. Don't let him ditch it. Got it, came the reply. The chessboard was set. Now it was time to watch Eric's grand escape crash and burn. I almost pitied him. Almost. Looking back, the red flags were neon signs I should have caught sooner. 6 months ago, Eric pushed me to merge our accounts, spinning it as a sweet gesture over dinner at our favorite spot, his green eyes gleaming with fake sincerity about our future. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker, never suspecting it was a ploy to get his hands on everything. He didn't know my forensic accounting gig wasn't just a resume flex. Before Carver & Stone, I'd spent 3 years hunting corporate crooks. Those instincts don't fade: the knack for spotting dodgy numbers, the gut feeling when something's rotten. First clue? His routine shifted. Eric was a creature of habit, out the door at 7:30 a.m., home by 6 p.m. Then came the urgent client meetings stretching past midnight. I might have swallowed it. Except one night his emergency call, lit up with a Tokyo area code, at 4 a.m. their time. Strike two. His weird fixation on upgrading our home security camera sensors, the works. I'd praised his protectiveness. Now I saw he was paranoid about being watched, especially in his home office, where he cooked his crooked books. Last week, our account manager casually mentioned diversifying investments. I'll take care of it, Eric said, his voice smooth as silk, but I caught the nervous twitch in his jaw. That's when I called Sarah. Within hours, we had a plan. The FBI was already sniffing around Carver & Stone's fishy overseas transfers but needed a smoking gun. I was their link. I'm doing this for us, Eric whispered that morning, kissing my forehead as he slipped out, thinking I was still asleep. We'll have it all. If he only knew his dream was about to become a nightmare. My phone buzzed again, a photo this time. Eric at the terminal champagne bar, clinking glasses with his mistress. Thanks for making this easy, he texted. P.S. Took a little extra from your emergency stash. Call it a fee for 5 years of faking it. The word stung more than I'd admit. Even knowing he was a fraud, that cold cruelty hit hard. I thought of our early days at Carver & Stone, late-night takeout, him bringing me tea when I was sick, holding me at my mom's funeral. Was it all a lie? Target's antsy, Sarah reported. Checked his watch 4 times. The feed showed Eric trying to play it cool, but his shoulders were tense, eyes darting to his phone. Then I saw it, my mom's old leather satchel. The one she'd left me after she passed. Rage flared. This wasn't just about cash anymore. It was every betrayal, every time he'd weaponized my trust. Sarah, I said. Voice steady despite the fire in my chest, the evidence is in that satchel. He's using it for the drive-in papers. Copy that, she replied. We'll grab it. Eric had no clue his accounts were frozen, or that his Paris flight was delayed. Time to drop the hammer. I texted. Might want to chat with the cop behind you first. On the feed. His smirk vanished as he spun around, panic flashing in his eyes. No cop yet, but his reaction screamed guilt. All units ready, Sarah confirmed. We've got him locked. Eric bolted toward the international gates, satchel clutched tight, his mistress keeping pace, guiding him right into our net. My phone rang, an unknown number. Your game ends now, Eric snarled. I've got records of every deal you signed off on. If I sink, you're drowning with me. My pulse spiked. He was bluffing, had to be. I covered my tracks. Oh? Which deals? I shot back, cool as ice. Don't play dumb, Lauren. The offshore accounts, the shell companies, I've got proof you were in on it. Will they believe? The loyal husband or the vengeful wife? He was twisting it, painting me as the villain. Classic Eric. But he'd slipped. Fascinating, I said. Have you told Jessica about this proof? A beat of silence. On the feed, he glanced at her. What's she got to do with it? Everything, I said, letting a grin slip. Agent Mitchell's dying to hear about those accounts. His face went white. In one swift move, Sarah twisted his arm behind him. Eric Dawson, you're under arrest for fraud and embezzlement, she barked as agents swarmed. But then he laughed. Oh, Lauren, he sneered into the phone. This isn't over. Check your email. Your mom wasn't the saint you think. My hand shook as I opened the email. A folder labeled Margaret Hayes Files. My mom's name. Inside were records from 15 years ago, when she was CFO at Carver & Stone. Transactions, emails, all mirroring Eric's scam. My world tilted. Lauren. Sarah's voice cut through. He's secured. But he wants his lawyer. All this time, I whispered, Eric knew about Mom. That's why he targeted me. On the feed, Eric smirked as they cuffed him. He'd planned this, even in defeat. Your mom's case predates me, Sarah said carefully. What's in those files? I forwarded them. Eric didn't start this. He found Mom's playbook and ran with it. She built the framework 15 years ago. The truth gutted me. Every memory of Mom, her strength, her lessons, felt stained. Had Eric been biding his time, waiting to wield this against me? My phone buzzed. More files, where that came from. Drop the charges or Margaret's secrets go viral. Your call, babe. Nausea hit. If this leaked, it'd torch Mom's legacy in Crater Carver and Stone, dragging down everyone tied to it. He's blackmailing you, Sarah said, reading my silence. Yeah, I admitted, but he screwed up. I pulled up Mom's encrypted drive, the one Eric didn't know existed. Mom wasn't the brains, I said, resolve hardening. She was the whistleblower. And I've got proof. Mom hadn't lived to expose it, but she'd left me the tools. Eric only had the damning half. He didn't know I held the key to the whole corrupt empire at Carver & Stone. I raced to the office, Sarah in tow. In Mom's old storage room desk, I found it, a hidden USB drive, just like her journals hinted. As I grabbed it, a voice froze us. That's company property, Miss Hayes. Victor Klein. The CEO loomed in the doorway with 2 guards. Think about your career, your mom's name, he warned. Her name. I snapped. You mean the one you trashed when you forced her into your fraud? I played Mom's recording, her frail voice detailing their crimes. Klein lunged, but the guards, FBI plants, nabbed him. Downstairs, Eric's face drained as he saw Klein cuffed. His lifeline was gone. Your mom would be proud, Sarah said quietly. I nodded, throat tight. The USB exposed decades of rot, clearing Mom's name and toppling the guilty. Eric's next text begged. We can fix this. I'll spill about your mom. I replied, go ahead. I want the full truth out. A month later, Eric got 20 years. Klein and the board followed. Carver & Stone was gutted. But Mom's records saved the stolen funds. As I left the courtroom, Sarah offered me a gig with the FBI. I thought of Mom's fight and said yes. Revenge? It's not about settling scores. It's about letting the truth burn bright.